The story begins as our protagonist is seen talking to a grave of someone he holds dearly named Tanaka. He proclaims that he was the only one who ever treated him like a person. As he was mourning, he chugged a bottle of alcohol. With the last drop, he faintly remembered the only memento he has left for him. He left the items near his gravestone. Seeing it's time to head off, he bids farewell as when the time comes he promised to have another drink together. As he promises to search for the one thing that Tanaka never stopped searching for, it was whiskey. At the gate of the free city named Landrris, people are entering without a hitch. A person could be seen entering pondering as the city is now thriving since traffic has increased by a ton. The guard near the entrance flinches the sight of a menacing orc, standing 2 meters tall, towering over him as he smokes a cigar. This immediately dawned on him due to the scary sight. With the orc wearing sunglasses and even doing the actions of a normal human, it looks unreal. He then noticed the massive arms being massive, as it's at least the width of 3 women's waists. The orc talked, questioning when did Landrris became a free city. The guard suddenly understood that it's an inhuman. He felt disgust towards it, and finds his energy to be bursting, labeling him as an extremely dangerous person. They immediately got on guard, where the orc questioned either they were racist or something. The guard, still in a panic of fear, questioned his business. He tried explaining he is a half-human, showing his eyes with red spots indicating that he's mixed blood. They throw insults at him, but the orc seems unfazed, immediately giving his entry permit, adventurer's license, and even his church and talisman birth records, plus a letter of recommendation. The guards seemed to find everything legitimate, but they questioned his identity. The orc introduced himself as the adventurer named Elpis. He exclaims of finding no reason as to why he shouldn't be let in, seeing as it's a free city. The guard seems hesitant but sees no problem regarding his papers, asking him to go to an adventurer's guild first, asking he shouldn't cause any problems. Elpis seems unbothered as this seems normal for him. He then gave them a tip as the Buddhist priest they let in earlier, seeing as he could smell faint odor of drugs from the talisman the priest was holding. This made them act on the suspicious suggestion of Elpis, bringing a drug trafficking priest to be reprimanded. As Elpis headed towards the adventurers' guild, he opened the door to be met with silence, followed with dreadful and unfriendly remarks. With the sudden gossip, Elpis didn't bother, as no matter where he went it's always like this, being the same reaction as always, same old with no difference at all. He headed for the bar. The bar owner seems to mention Elpis being mixed blood. He ponders if he has a problem with it, only to be met with a neutral gaze and answer as long as he doesn't stay long he doesn't care, since this city became a free city a year ago, although he mentioned a key important detail as it was better when Count Margaret was still alive, which later on the story is a key information. Elpis then questioned if they got whiskey, but this made the bar owner ponders if it was a barbarian foods, giving the idea that they probably don't got it. He then asked for a local proper meal with alcohol, but Elpis was stunned to hear it was 5 silver coins, seeing it's expensive as its price was served to the equivalent of royalty. He didn't refuse as the food served to him was on top-notch quality of blood sausage with seasoned bear-loved salmon steak topped with a delicious sauce and plentiful of seedless bread with side dishes. To top it off is black ale, removing all the exhaustion away with lime to squeeze with one's liking. Elpis seems satisfied seeing his food. With the food being great, as he was served with a glass jar and the citrus scent combined with a hint of ripe apricot, he finds the meal to be enjoyable. As he was about to eat, a beer bottle suddenly flew right next to him, shattering in pieces. He turned to his left only to find a ruckus happening, seeing as how a lady was having an argument with a group of men, exclaiming she is creating a party, introducing herself to the super rookies as Margaret von Margaret. With an elegant and beautiful figure she stand out more than a sore thumb. It's then revealed she is the corrupt lord's orphan daughter. They questioned her abilities, which she claims of being E-ranked just for a few days. The people and Elpis stood in disbelief, as she boldly exclaims of creating a party and their chance to join, arrogant and full of herself, announcing her visions towards the future. Her statement is seen to be laughed at by everyone. She stood in confusion, full of laughter. She questioned this, which in reality her rank is the lowest of the super rookie, as even a child could reach this. The group of men called out to her whack-ass outfit. She grit her teeth, exclaiming this was given to her by her deceased father. They looked at her with lust and tried ganging up on her. They surrounded the lady, throwing insults, seeing as her father died, filling his pockets with that corrupt money. This made her glare at them for giving the idea that her father wasn't someone worthy. Although they brought up why was everyone rejoicing when her father kicked the bucket, it's likely indicated that they wanted power and control, seeing as no one to uphold that anymore. They laughed loudly, boldly suggesting that her father, the former corrupt lord, was drowning himself in alcohol till he died. They kicked the lady around as the city isn't for the likes of someone from a broken family, telling her to sell herself out. The lady met her demise and embarrassment as their laughter echoes. She ponders of their words, hurting her feelings. Seeing this mockery happening made Elpis filled with anger, which he glared towards the group, making them shiver. A hand suddenly reached out to the lady, as Elpis walked towards the group, exclaiming of the awful stench. The noble lady looked from behind Elpis, seeing him a ray of light as the fear she had disappeared just like that. She could tell from a distance that Elpis was angry on her behalf. Elpis approached them, questioning how many silver coins costed for his meal. He revealed it was 5 silver, which they laughed at him uncontrollably. They claim it was his fault for being a pig-headed brain, and asking him to get lost as they will teach some proper adventurer etiquette to the corrupt noble's daughter. As they mock and loudly sneered over the fact that Elpis overpaid, he then exclaims that they have to pay up, as the only learning etiquette here is going to be them. Elpis suddenly gets splashed with water, which he grins, seeing as how cheap liquor suits low lives like them. He exclaims whiskey is the result of human creativity and character, which they doesn't comprehend the level of taste. He exclaims of teaching them a lesson, triggering them to be more violent, but due to natural selection and their bad choice of actions. Elpis became enraged, giving the hammer a first, blowing the 3 losers away, upwards, being engraved to the Adventurers Guild roof. He then exclaims that the number 1 things that sour the taste of alcohol is none other than a woman's tears. As the commotion ended, he went back to eat his food that was on the ground. The lady asks if he would go out of his way to eat it, but he finds this to be a waste, seeing someone went out of their way to make this meal after all. Hearing this made the bar owner put up another meal and a side of alcohol, as a thanks for chasing out the troublesome group, exclaiming he doesn't need to pay 5 but instead 2 silver coins from now on. He still finds this expensive but gave assurance he's welcome to the guild. The lady introduced herself as Margaret von Margaret. She then got straight to the point of asking him to form a party with her. This made Elpis wonder if her eyes suddenly went bad, seeing he's a mixed blood orc, an obvious cocktail of nothing but bad news. Hearing this would make any normal person not want to have nothing to do with him. Hearing this, she didn't seem to mind that, seeing as how she got quite the reputation of a corrupt lord's daughter. Elpis doubles down, seeing as the hate towards him is nowhere near similar to her, asking her to go home. With no other choice, Margaret boldly exclaims of knowing what he was searching for. She exclaims the words of whiskey, which piqued Elpis' interest all of a sudden. She smirked, waiting for the results of her persuasion, but Elpis smelled something off, which gives off the smell of a liar. It's then revealed that she would do whatever it takes to get him on her side. But Elpis, as an animal, give off subtle scents when they feel emotions, which Elpis knows is picking up the scent of a liar from her. He became angered by the fact she was willing to use it shamelessly for a bluff, asking her to apologize. Margaret seems determined to see her partnership with him no matter what. Elpis picked up a sudden scent which shows desperation, seeing as how she is willing to bluff her way out just to convince him. This is the same feeling when he lost to Naka, as she's fighting with all her might through the loneliness and sadness. Elpis asks that she should wait, as he will hear her out after his meal. Elpis overheard previously that her father was a former lord. Her father, before passing away, ruled over the town, which shortly after the servants and her were thrown into case, stealing all of their property. She then revealed that in that property her father's rare alcohol collection was also included, which Elpis deemed her words to be the truth. In other words, within her father's collection there is whiskey he has been searching for, although she can't confirm for sure, but it's not a lie as her father's collection was the best. He questioned the new lord of what kind of person he is. It's then revealed the new lord is an adventurer, nicknamed the Share of Sirius, a leader of an A-rank party. Margaret wants to reclaim her seat as this town's lord, as well as her father's honor and property. Elpis doesn't seem bothered as he's an A-rank adventurer, seeing as how rank people are pros and received much higher support from the people. Hearing this made Elpis skeptical about the fact that for decades the town has been strictly enforced as a fortress city. He questioned how did a simple lord succession lead to a full 180 of it becoming a free city. He doesn't seem he would get answers from the princess. He finds the situation difficult seeing as an E-rank newbie is trying to compete with an A-rank to be the lord. Pondering that her amateur's bravery will only last her a day, Margaret jolted seeing her own weakness as to why she needs her strength. Elpis ultimately declined of helping her, although he understood the circumstances and the fine whiskey is tempting, but becoming partners is a whole different story. Elpis exclaims of not willing to be responsible for her life, as the truth is no matter who there will never be someone like Tanaka. He apologizes, but in the end Margaret slams his foot in anger, exclaiming of going out of her way to this bar to recruit, but everyone treats her like a goddamn princess, as she showed a face full of desperation, clearly sick and tired of it. She then asks the barkeeper to bring the place entire stock of liquor, as she proclaims of having a drink off. This made Elpis wary as it's a serious contest for adventurers to settle dispute without their fists, drinking until someone drops with the loser abiding to the winner's request no matter what. Without a doubt this is the first time in history for such a competition to occur between an orc and a noble's daughter. The crowd suddenly gathered as things got interesting between the two. Elpis questioned the lady, which she became serious of going all until her amateur bravery runs out. She then smirked, asking if he was a good-for-nothing piglet who's scared of losing. Elpis that night didn't back down and chugged till someone dropped. We then transitioned to the morning, in a nearby house where Elpis woke up in a daze, questioning the situation as Lady Margaret sits on top of him. She claims being smug as she won the competition last night, which in return he would be joining her party from now on. He suddenly remembered Tanaka, as they both drank booze, enjoying their time tasting the tasteful alcohol. He exclaims of not finding another like him who is a heavy drinker, but to his surprise Lady Margaret managed to beat him in a drinking contest. He suddenly remembered being overpowered by her, passing out on his 53 drink. As he questioned the situation, she got closed up to him all of a sudden. She claims not knowing much about orc culture, but she asks that he doesn't plan on tucking between his legs and running away after losing to a woman, which as promised he would join her party. Back in the Adventurers Guild, as repairs were ongoing, Margaret is shocked to hear she still can't form a party, as she doesn't meet the requirements to get approved, needing at least 3 adventurers. Their motto of the Adventurers Guild is they do not reject those who come, and those who prove their ability are welcomed, even if they both have quite the reputation. Elpis suddenly asks to get assigned right away as no time for chit-chat, claiming that they done reject those who come. With a menacing look piercing the receptionist, she agreed without hesitation. Elpis is eager to see her strong feature of her amateur's guts. She happily clung on to him, being happy of proceeding. The two were requested to subjugate a bunch of haggis. The request is small but dangerous as they are aggressive and target humans. Add to the facie they swarm the plains and forests. The rewards are revealed to be only 5 silver coins, which was on the low end. As they headed off, the receptionist handed over a letter, which it's revealed that the new lord requests to be handed to him. As he looked up, Ordo was watching them, analyzing their every move. Elpis suddenly pondered that things might get complicated. The lord suddenly vanished and appeared right next to him, indicating his magic prowess. The lord seems interested in Elpis as he doesn't seem to be famous. However, he posses a travel permit issued by a count and the hero of the frontier, even having royal recommendation letters. Elpis questioned if he has any issue, which surprisingly he doesn't, but Elpis seemed to gather that the lord possesses a calmness of confidence. The lord surprisingly brought up the letter, asking to open it later, and read it. with his fiancée Margaret. At the forest they spotted the haggis and in an instantly eliminated the foes. With overwhelming power and technique she managed to execute the haggis. Elpis seems to be amazed as it's a pleasant surprise. Margaret seems to be already halfway being pro when it comes to compatibility. Although he seems to praise her, he warns that her defense is lacking, which he managed to save her from being ambushed right at the last second. Margaret is amazed to find Elpis' ability and speed to be unbelievable considering his huge body. He managed to block the surprised attack, which indicates the strength of a professional adventurer. She seems to be fond of his rank. She ponders how strong is an A ranker. They shortly disassembled the haggis and collected the materials. As Elpis processed the remains, Margaret watched intently, which he asks if she wants to try doing so. Shortly after, Elpis is finding this into a real hassle seeing as he got a bad feeling of this letter. He ponders if she should open it or not seeing as he can't shake the feeling that his choice and timing could change something big within him. He finds no doubt that Margaret's father doesn't have any whiskey, although he knows the truth. As he ponders, a sudden dagger attack is stopped by Elpis with his intuition being right, as ever since they left the city. Margaret was the target all along. He finds them to be a professional as the daggers were poisoned. As Margaret seems oblivious, Elpis finds the situation to be exciting seeing as things will take a turn soon. As they wander the forest, Elpis doesn't want to be put on defensive. He then instructs Margaret to head for the campsite wanting to go gather some firewood in the meantime. She then suggests that Elpis wouldn't suddenly disappear on his own, which he assured that he wanted to pee, although he finds her odd with sharp instincts. With her out of the way, he ponders of going to a different route intentionally, as there would be two ways this would go. It's either the assassin is simple-minded to fall for the bait, or he proceed cautiously meeting with Margaret safely, which he could also do since he can track their scent and finish them off later. As he looked around, he then felt a sudden shiver as the killing intent got stronger. It's then revealed that the assassin's target isn't Margaret but it's him. He dodges the mana shard, but is met face to face with a dark and tall figure. As he analyzed the enemy, he seems to find something off-putting. He then threw a dagger at the tall figure, which to his intuition, he knew by smell that it was just a dummy in a robe. Which in other words, they are messing with him. This made him go serious, being able to deflect and shatter the magical shards with just brute strength. The assassin seems anxious as she might run out of magic soon. She finds Elpis to be not ordinary as he's too skilled. Elpis on the other hand couldn't find the assassin, but to his surprise it came up behind him as it jumped and managed to hit him in the head, making him bleed. It's revealed she was coming from the shadows. Elpis find the situation astonishing seeing as it's been a while he took a surprise attack head-on like that. From a far distance the Lord was watching the whole thing. Being amazed by what a mere maid could do, he watches on judging Elpis' talents. As the battle goes on, Elpis dodged and blocked her attacks consecutively. As she rushes towards him, he seems to throw a few punches but ultimately failed. In the end he gets hit with a poisoned blade. The maid assassin suddenly pulled out her ultimate weapon. As she casted mana bolt, a small explosion occurred. The Lord praises her for not being bad, seeing as now she used to be a low-ranking member of a notorious bandit group. He sees her skills being close to AB rank. Elpis and the maid both use potions as they fight one another, which in the end she got hit with a sudden potion called Hangover. He asks the assassin to call it quits already. Even pros knows to only intake one dose of healing potion. If she continues at this rate she would die. The assassin maid couldn't believe that she threw an ambush magic and poison, but oh no avail. She couldn't grasp his full power, but doesn't want to back down and let the lady be with him. She then did a spell of a fallen tree trap, disabling the charged round she set in advance. It's bound to be a suicidal move. Left with no other choice, he pulled out his mystical magic item towering over him. Its appearance gave off the strong image. He then casted a magical spell called Lord of Sin's Orcus. This made a giant beam of light filled with explosions to be blasted upwards as seen by Lady Margaret. She couldn't believe her eyes as her intuition sensed danger towards Elpis. Back at the crater, He seems to have saved the maid assassin from imminent death. The monstrous hammer he was holding is a hammer that unleashes thunder. The maid in his hands asks why he helped him. Elpis explained that she seems connected to the lady, and is acting because of her own feelings. As having a mixed blood hanging around with her master probably makes them uneasy, although he doesn't seem to mind. As for him, it's an everyday life. The maid simply understood this. As the Lord appears from the sky, exclaiming the astonishing performance by Elpis, the two stood face to face, as Lady Margaret arrives screaming at Ordo filled with anger. With her enraged, she sees Ordo as a young royal but abandoned his claim to the throne, and now he is the nemesis who stole the honor and wealth of her father. She rushes in with her feelings set, as it was only natural that Ordo had caused them harm. For Ordo, Margaret was the daughter of his mentor and a tomboy, but now she truly became a noble woman, and to support her father. He doesn't see any value in her eyes anymore. As her strike reaches his head, it was attacked as if a swirled pool out of thin air stopped it. Like striking water, Elpis described the spell to be a water defensive spell, like having a whole lake wrapped up over as an impregnable shield. And this is the Quina, the Saren Lake Castle. Even the elven elders who look down on adventurer have proclaimed it to be the art of water magic. Elpis asks Margaret to stop the attack as she doesn't stand a chance, seeing the overwhelming difference, as she doesn't have enough of an attack to evaporate a lake. Ordo looks at Elpis, seeing as he might have something to break through his defense. Elpis exclaims of not hating him and having something he admire about him. He sees his words pure without taint, never meeting someone like this before. He sees Ordo as a rival, as an adventurer but not an enemy. He asks that Ordo doesn't underestimate his leader. Margaret then showed up with a furious and god-tier art drawn, striking Ordo in the head, bashing it up, as she vent her anger, claiming to be the one who surpassed him. As the strike landed, Elpis explained the three types of magic in the world. First one is the universal magic, which has fire, water, earth, and wind. Next is innate magic, which gifted individuals have and are born with it. Then next are tools called magic items. Ordo became discombobulated, seeing as his spell required a certain level of focus, which he dropped and diverted his attention to create an opening. Margaret, although managed to land a hit, is immediately captured by a masked lady. Elpis tried helping and elevating the situation, where Margaret seems to be fine, as he finds relief that he gotten involved so much. He seems surprised, seeing as they are in the same boat, but questioned why he would take up arms for someone else. Although strangely enough he doesn't feel bad about it. He stood still against the enemy. But suddenly her mask seems to shatter, where it's revealed that she is a dwarf with mixed blood. The two stood still with their magical items, having the same weapons forged by the enemy's grandfather. She ponders which one is stronger. Elpis then claims that she shouldn't go showing off a cheap lunchbox. The two head-one collided their weapons against each other in a final standoff. As their magical weapons collided, the Lord Ordo seems to interfere, absorbing the shock and blocking it. He apologizes as he seems to be having fun. The two stood their ground, seeing as they are both monsters and half-bloods who could go toe-to-toe. Ordo belittles Lady Margaret, seeing as she only has courage and luck will never take her to reach new heights. And a princess like herself, who only knows how to hide behind her knight in this day and age, should know their worth and fight side by side the very least. Elpis seems to have it already taken care of, as she already acknowledged and called him as a friend. It's no wonder he ended up taking her side. He then pulled out the letter given to him earlier, as that is the answer to a ticket to the new heights. He stood still with a smirk, seeing him open it up. He seems to find it blanked. Ordo called out as it's a letter that fools can't read, but a sniff from Elpis, he instantly knew what it was. It's the so-called whiskey. Although it feels pretty similar, it's way beyond that, as it's called the Blessed Blend. This miraculous liquid can only be produced after mixing the 7 great booze, which is called whiskey. Elpis then claims of being able to obtain it first. Asura left. He then asks they compete with him for the divine liquor all the way to the new heights.